Heyo, Plaidman here. So today we're going to do a TV show review for episode 1 of Black Mirror. So the show is called Black Mirror. This is the first episode. It's called National Anthem. The reason why we're doing a review, and this is going to be filled with spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, check it out. If you haven't seen it or don't want to see it, that's fine. I'll happily tell you about it, tell you the significance. To me, for starters, Black Mirror, it kind of came out of left field for me. I wasn't aware of it when it was with BBC. Found out about it when it came on Netflix. So the show is currently on Netflix, was on BBC, and I think they're on season 5 now. Each episode is a separate thing. They're not connected. So you can just watch one episode and then ignore a bunch and watch a different one, and it won't matter. You won't be missing anything. Which makes for a rather interesting TV show anyways. But then on top of that, what this show kind of ends up being is like a modern day Twilight Zone. I'm not familiar with Twilight Zone, so I can't speak to that. Hi, buddy. But, okay, let's not move the table. But what I can say is that this show is amazing and gross and weird, and it makes you question things. So my dog wants me to go outside. I'm not going to do that. This is my second iteration of this. So we're just going to power through. Perrin, you got to be good. I guess he doesn't like me talking or it's too hot. Anyhow, so, and I hope you notice, Plaidman, and one of my favorite TV shows, Yellowstone. I was a sucker and bought one of the hats. Anyways, I couldn't find my other wonderful gray hat, so this is what we got. Anyhow, so, National Anthem, which is episode 1 of Black Mirror, season 1. The short version of this is, in Britain, modern day, there is a princess who's early 20s, she gets kidnapped. And we're following the Prime Minister of England, of the UK. He gets woken up in the middle of the night and they're like, hey, princess has been kidnapped. We have no idea by whom. We received, or there was a YouTube video that was put online of her being kidnapped, and basically she'll be released if the Prime Minister does these certain things. And these certain things simply means the Prime Minister needs to have sex with a pig by 4 o'clock. And there's a bunch of technical specifications to make it like nigh impossible, and it has to be live, nigh impossible for it to be faked or finagled or any other stuff. So effectively, whoever knew was aware enough. And that's the only request. There's no request to release jihadis or terrorists or this, or give a bunch of money to helpless kids or something like that. No, only request is that the Prime Minister on live television, every broadcast, at this certain time, has intercourse with a pig. That's it. And naturally, because it's the government, and naturally because unless you like having sexual intercourse with the pig, which I don't know why you're watching the show then, the Prime Minister's not interested in doing that. So it's like, okay, so they try and do everything they can to try and source the code and figure out this and figure out that and find the entity, the person who has captured the princess and get her without having to do that. And ultimately, they exhaust all their options. They have a couple failed attempts and can't find the person. And so the Prime Minister does the thing, and they find out that 30 minutes before they find the princess, she's been released. 30 minutes before the Prime Minister started doing the deed, she was released. It was caught on their fancy odd cameras, and nobody noticed. And now the world has to deal with the fact that they saw a world leader have sexual intercourse with a pig. On top of that, his wife feels a certain sort of way. He feels a certain sort of way. It's just really. And what ends up so I do want to say there was a very important point where it seemed like the people of the UK were like, no, you shouldn't have to do this. Don't do this. This is gross. We're all with you. We support you. It's not your fault if she dies because you didn't want to have sex with the pig. And then the kidnapper stages this thing and he cuts off her finger with a ring on it and mails it in with the video of him doing the deed to the local news station. They broadcast the crap out of it, and suddenly the British people's politics shift, and all of a sudden They're like, no, this scumbag, how dare he put her life in jeopardy, and yada, yada, yada. It's very fascinating how it went from one thing to another really, 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 really quick. And that's kind of what I want to talk about. And really the fundamental point of what this episode was about is it was a manipulation of, it was to prove a point, a manipulation of the psyche of the human mind. Because pretty much everyone in their right mind would be like, no, why would I want to watch that? That's grotesque and horrible and that's nasty. Even people who watched porn wouldn't be like, oh yeah, you know what I want to see is like some dude porking a pork. Like, no, that's a hyper minority. So how did one pivot a whole group of people to go from no, don't do that to yes, you have to do that or else? And that's what's fascinating about the show, frankly. That's what I liked about the show. Not that he did it, but frankly, that he did it and that people would watch. Even though they were grotesque, they were grossed out by it, they would watch. And we have some parallels in our community, in our real time right now. Kim Kardashian's sex tape, or what is it called, the fappening, where all these celebrities and their personal photos were leaked online. We have a morbid, I guess is a word for it. We, as human beings, have a curiosity, and especially when you have people who are rich and or famous, they attract a certain amount of attention. So it kind of becomes part of the psyche of the world. Like, for those of us who are old, we remember that, hey, Richard Gere went to the hospital because he had something up his bum that was a gerbil or a hamster or something like that. Like, that is known. And even if that's not the singular reason, shortly after that, he went from being a leading man of the 90s and the 2000s to barely making movies anymore at all. Because that happened. Kim Kardashian, reversely, she had a sex tape, which lots of people have seen, and suddenly her and her family, through lots of other things, not just that, are now worth billions and billions of dollars. Whereas before they were like third-rate socialites because the dad was a lawyer. That's all. Like, the Kardashian name, the dad was a lawyer, and he was a lawyer for I think he was a lawyer and a friend of the OJ. And that's it. He was like a well-off lawyer. But now the Kardashians have this reality TV show that's gone on for like 20 seasons or something like that, and it's just ridiculous. And it was built off of like the spark, not necessarily the foundation, but the spark was built off of Kim Kardashian, who was practically nobody at that time, having sex with like a second-rate artist, R&B artist, and that tape being leaked online. And then reversely, like Pamela Anderson, quite the opposite. She was mega fame, and then this tape got released, and it propelled her to the certain point, and then it just like, she didn't ride that wave like Kardashian did. Anyhow, my point in all that is what this whole thing is indicative of. It was a challenge to you as a person of, hey, what would you do? Did you watch Pamela Anderson's sex tape, Kim Kardashian's sex tape? Do you watch these other things? Are you interested in morbidly curious? Or are you the type that's like, I got other stuff to do, I don't really care? Because that was the point that this episode and this terrorist, if you will, was trying to illustrate is like, too many of us are so fixated on things that don't affect us whatsoever. Like, how much better would it have been if the people of the world were like, this is grotesque. He was only doing this to save someone who's very important to the government. We should give him his privacy because he's basically doing a good deed. But for some reason, millions of people watched. It's kind of like we don't have like video footage of like, oh, this woman giving birth to a kid, because, well, that's a very private moment. And similarly, saving a person is a very private moment, even if it's in the most grotesque and horrible way. So what I felt like this episode does basically is it challenges you, the viewer, to be like, hey, what would I do? Which is what a lot of these episodes are going to be. And then was it right? Like, should the prime minister have done what he did? I don't know. I don't think that was the right thing to do, but because you got to stand on some principles, but I understand why he did it. And I'd like to think that I wouldn't be one of those people that would like stop and watch it, but I don't know. I hope not. And that's kind of the concern is this show, more than any other show I've ever watched, challenges you to be like, what kind of a person are you? So anyways, that's it for now. I'm going to do more episodes, but I just wanted to get that one banging out of the way, see how I like it. And this is the new room for now. Hope you like it. I'm going to go for now. Plaid Man out. Talk to you later. Bye.